I do hear people quieting down. If it's possible to hear people quieting, I think that's what I'm hearing. All right, I will call us out of recess so that we can proceed with our business. And again, please do sit down because this is an important and memorable moment for a lot of the ministers in our congregations, and they deserve your full attention. Even with the UCC asterisk next to coming to order, I think we should do it now. All right, thank you very much. I'm now going to call on Marja Koons-Torn, who is the chair of the Cabinet of Conference Ministers and the Conference Minister of the Penn Central Conference, to recognize the new and the retiring conference ministers. Marja.
It is a wonderful thing to stand up here and see the wider church at work. In the Council of Conference Ministers, for the last 2 or 3 years, we have been working on conceiving of ourselves as one staff serving you along with our partners in the national setting of the church. It's very important to us each time a conference calls a new conference minister. It's very important that we also have interim colleagues who are willing to work with us. And it is both with gratitude and sadness that we say farewell to some. It's a joy, though, to begin with those who have been called to be conference ministers since the last General Synod. From Illinois Conference, Jorge Morales. From Southern California, Nevada Conference, Felix Villanueva. From the Calvin Synod, and he reminds me our only true bishop, Bela Poznan. And just elected within the last 3 or 4 weeks from Indiana, Kentucky Conference, John Vertigan. We have about 8 conferences that are in search right now and are being faithfully served by interim conference ministers. In New York Conference, Rita Root. In Northern California, Nevada Conference, Phil Hart. In South Dakota Conference, David Felton. In Indiana, Kentucky Conference, and about to retire, John Gant. In Southern Conference, Verdi Powers. In Kansas, Oklahoma Conference, Krista Betts. In Connecticut Conference, Chuck Wildman. In Pennsylvania Southeast Conference, 2 people have been serving since January as co-acting conference ministers, and we are grateful for the service they have given, Geneva Butz and Nancy Gottschall. And in the Michigan Conference has been serving Judith Youngman, but as of September 1st, she will go to Pennsylvania Southeast Conference as the interim minister. We have 5 conference ministers who have retired since the last General Synod, and most of them were not able to be here, but I do want to share their names with you. These are people who have already retired. Those who are retiring upcoming will be recognized at the next Synod. From Connecticut Conference, Davida Foy Crabtree. From Pennsylvania Southeast Conference, Russ Mintman. From Indiana Kentucky Conference, Steve Gray. From Northern California Nevada Conference, Mary Susan Gast. And from the Calvin Synod, Carl Ludwig. I want to make mention of another person who is not up here because he left yesterday, but who is very important to the Council of Conference Ministers and who is retiring at the end of this summer after serving us for 6 years, and that is our Administrator, Bob Witham, our Administrator Coordinator. Will you join me in offering a prayer of thanksgiving for the gifts and the service of all of these people? God of grace and mercy, we are grateful that you call some out to serve in various ways. We give you thanks and praise for the gifts of these servants, some just called into conference ministry, some serving as interims, and some who have served and served well. We ask that you would bless each journey, each life, each family, that you would continue to call us, lead us, and help us to share as your one staff of this great united church of Christ. And most of all, we pray that as we know you do, that you will continue to speak to us, our still speaking God, in whose name we pray. Amen. Will you give these brothers and sisters an appreciative round of applause?
Thank you.
Our thanks to all of the incoming and retiring conference ministers. I'd now like to proceed to the work of Committee Number 1, pertaining to a resolution of witness affirming health care coverage for clergy and family, and I'll call on Michael Rock as the chair of that committee. Sir.
Hi there, folks. I'm T. Michael Rock, Mr. Moderator, from the Minnesota Conference, and I'm glad to present this resolution. Copies of the resolution affirming health care for authorized ministers and their families is located on your table in the packet. It's the first one.
Sorry, Mr. Rock, there is someone with a procedural motion at number 5.
I'm just waiting.
He's waiting.
Oh, okay. All right, fine. Sorry to interrupt you, and please
that's okay.
proceed.
Committee 1 is indebted to Lon Raycraft and the folks of the Pacific Northwest Conference for bringing this resolution to us. The faithful folks assigned to Committee 1 engaged this work by getting clear on the intent of this resolution and then working to stay true to it while also honoring the current relationships of our affiliated ministries and the General Synod. I also want to thank Michael Downs and the folks of the pension boards who faithfully work on our behalf and helped educate me and all of us in some way. Also to Luther Holland from the Executive Council who helped me every step of the way, PJ Banks Anderson who recorded our proceedings, and Ginny McDonald who served our technical needs to bring this to you. And lastly, to the folks of Committee 1, you're wonderful. And being rooted and grounded in love, you helped to refine and rework this resolution of witness. This amazing committee engaged in a group process to make this resolution meet its original goals, while also providing a sense of responsibility for all of us to claim. Because we had a challenge before us, this committee presents this resolution with a new title and new language. The new title is, as I said before, Affirming Healthcare for United Church of Christ, Authorized Ministers, and Their Families. The changes happened in every one of the therefore be it resolves. First, we acknowledge that we're offering adequate and equitable health, dental, and vision coverage for the United Church of Christ, Authorized Ministers, and their families through the pension boards. And we also amended the second therefore be it resolved to include and encourage the Executive Council to create a task force including representation of the Executive Council conferences, the pension boards, covenanted ministries, and affiliated and associated ministries to enter into conversation to address issues of providing continuity of coverage for authorized ministers of the United Church of Christ and their families as they move among churches and other settings of the United Church of Christ. And then finally, we resolved that leaders in all settings of the United Church of Christ educate and encourage enrollment in the United Church of Christ health, dental, and vision plans for the purposes of keeping costs down, affordable, and to assist churches in exploring options for funding their employees' United Church of Christ health, dental, and vision plans. And the last change we made was an implementation where we asked, instead of just a witness, which is often burdened with all of the witness resolutions, the Executive Council and local church ministries, because all of us do mission, and the conferences, associations of the United Church of Christ, and the pension boards to implement this resolution. The Committee 1 supports the passage of our reworked and refined resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Rock. And are those revisions available on a slide? Or
they are in print on the tables.
They're in print on the table so that the delegates do see that the changes that you just described. I want to make sure that delegates are aware of those changes.
They were handed out in packets last night on the tables. It's the top resolution on the packet.
And if you do have them, obviously where you see a line out, that language is being excised or removed. And if it's underlined, that is language that's being added. So the motion that will be before you is the motion as it has been amended by the committee. Will you remark further, sir?
Sure. While Committee 1 acknowledged the work of previous General Synods in doing similar work with the pension boards and the healthcare plan, Committee 1 felt that part of living faithfully, being rooted and grounded in love, sometimes renewal of covenant, and reaffirmation of our partnerships is indeed a holy act. Committee 1 also recognized and honored that this resolution was born out of hardship around enrollment in the healthcare plan offered by the pension boards. The stated goal was to explore creative ways in which all settings of the United Church of Christ can assist in providing a more affordable way for authorized ministers and their families to enter and stay in the healthcare plans of the United Church of Christ. I bring to this General Synod the hard work of Committee Number 1, inspired by the Northwest Conference. The amended resolution before you accomplishes these goals by offering 3 resolves. The first one honors the commitment and care of the pension boards and covenant relationships they have with the United Church of Christ. And it calls on the second one calls on the Executive Council to convene a broad coalition of partners to think creatively about addressing the needs of United Church of Christ authorized ministers who live on the boundaries and serve in the in-between places. And third says, the last finally resolved focuses on the education and encouragement and enrollment as a way to lower costs. This resolve asks all of us to take on the responsibility of both educating and being open to learning more about the opportunities to serve those in all ministry settings.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rock. The main motion that is now before you will be this resolution of witness that is entitled Affirming Healthcare Coverage for Clergy Families as it has been revised and amended by the work of Committee 1 and as has been explained by the chair and articulated in the documents that have been made available to you. That is the main motion that's before you. Now it's appropriate to take up a procedural matter at microphone number 5.
Hi, I'm Devontae Taylor from the Pacific Northwest Conference, and I would like to make a friendly amendment. I would propose that to the second therefore is added this phrase: we ask that this body report back to the General Synod 29.
All right. Do you have that in writing, sir? Or have you made that available to us?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Is it available? All right.
Yes.
Would you then restate is there a second to this motion to amend? All right. And would you restate the motion specifically as to what it is you're amending?
Adding this phrase to the second therefore, which is, we ask that this body report back to the General Synod 29.
All right. Motion to amend has been made and seconded. Is there?
Anyone accepts the friendly amendment?
Well, the use of the word friendly amendment, it's colloquially accepted, but once a motion has been given to the Synod, you don't have the power to change it yourselves. It's up to the Synod. So there is an amendment pending before you. It's been seconded. Is there discussion on the amendment? I'd like to proceed to the voice vote. Seeing no speakers, all those in favor of the amendment as presented, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the motion carries. The resolution before you, the main motion before you, is now including the amendment that was just presented and approved by you. Speakers for or against, please go to a mic. At microphone number 1, ma'am.
Julie Bell. I'm with Penn Central Conference. I went to seminary a long time ago out in Eden, and Walt Brigham often regaled us with stories of what it was like to grow up as a pastor's kid. And he said that he learned early that, Lord, you keep them humble and we'll keep them poor was the motto of many church councils. Well, I don't know that it's all that bad, but there are some parts about this wonderful United Church of Christ in all of its traditions of autonomy within covenant that have made it really challenging for some pastors. I have 4 children. They have all had extraordinary medical needs. One of them is 16. Some years ago, we had that 2008 dip in our investments, so our older folks who were supporting the church were seriously cut back in their ability to support the work of the church. And our younger folks, ours is an economy based on the housing industry, lost their economy, so their support of the church. My church was forced to make some significant concessions. I lost the ability to have family health insurance and was cut. It was a matter of when you find out in November that you're going to lose that and it's December they're going to vote, there's not a lot of chance to change your mind. We scrambled around and found some insurance. We've since found some others. I'm one of those people that has a child that's right now has no insurance, and I can't get it for her. And maybe when I get back to Pennsylvania, the state will have made some kind of motion and some kind of loophole that'll let her have insurance, but she lives on life-sustaining medicine. And I'm one of those people pastors can't negotiate those kind of contracts. They get changed on us. The denomination doesn't seem to have enough teeth to force that to happen. So I really encourage us as a denomination and in this General Synod body, please take seriously the needs of pastors and their families, because we're called to serve the church, and it's awfully hard to do that when you have sick children that you can't provide for. Thank you.
Thank you. A speaker in opposition? Seeing none, I'll move to the green mic number 2.
Andy Mockridge, Missouri Mid-South Conference.
Move a little closer to the mic, please.
Andy Mockridge, Missouri Mid-South Conference. I, first of all, lift up with gratitude the work of the committee, and I affirm what is written in this resolution. I would just like to put forth to everyone that in 2009, the General Synod voted to affirm the right of every American and every individual in this country to health care. And how can we be taken seriously in that affirmation if we do not affirm the right of our own clergy to have the health care that they have requested and need? That's it.
Thank you. Is there is a speaker at microphone number 6. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Patty Kenny from Michigan Conference, and I would like to have some language put back in that was taken out by the committee. I'm looking at lines 118 to 120, where it says that the settings shall seek to encourage the pension board serving the United Church of Christ to offer to make medical coverage available to all clergy and their family members when they are called to or begin a new position with the life of our church. The loss of this language, I'm afraid, loses the opportunity for clergy who are not currently receiving medical coverage in a setting where they are serving now to enroll when they move to a new setting. And I really valued that coverage, that option, and I would like the pension boards to be encouraged to consider that.
All right, there is an amendment pending. Is there a second? All right, the amendment is in writing. If you look at the resolution as it was originally presented to you, and then where the committee at lines 118 through 120 has removed certain language. As I understand it, the amendment is to remove the strikeout so that that language would be part of the main motion. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
All right. The matter before the body then is this amendment. Are there those who would speak in favor of the amendment? Are you on the main motion or the amendment at number 1?
On the main motion.
All right. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the amendment? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against the amendment? Yes, at microphone number, is that 3? There's a head right in front of the number.
Yes.
Yes.
Nancy
Thank you for
Gottschall,
moving.
Pennsylvania Southeast Conference.
Yes.
I was a member of this committee. Just to clarify why we removed that language, there was a fair amount of discussion about balancing the availability of coverage with the cost of the overall plan. And we decided that we were not in a position really to urge one piece of this change on the pension boards without also taking into consideration that what it would mean for the cost of the plan for everyone. So since we are in this world where there is not universal health coverage and our pension boards need to work within certain constraints, we intentionally took out the recommendation and put that into the conversation piece of this resolution.
All right. Thank you. Other speakers on the amendment itself? Yes, at microphone number 2 in favor of the amendment.
Yes, Paul Bryant Smith, Connecticut Conference. I'd like to speak in favor of the amendment because the language that had been excised by the committee was in fact the entire point of the resolution. So what it leaves us with is a resolution that says, wouldn't it be nice if people knew about health care? Whereas the original resolution was for the purpose of making sure that clergy who are in transition or clergy who have lost their health care for one reason or another have the opportunity to re-enroll. So to remove that language guts the entire thing, and we might as well throw it out. Thank you.
A speaker against the amendment over here at microphone number 4.
Gunnar Serta, Ohio Conference delegate and member of committee number 1. I just wanted to speak a moment to in opposition to the amendment in terms of what I understood our focus to be on the committee. And as the wording came to us, we just sensed and felt that it was pointed and put all of the responsibility upon the pension boards. And I was one of the persons that felt that the responsibility should be shared and that the United Church should be part of that responsibility to provide that care, not just solely place it upon the shoulders of the pension boards.
Thank you. A speaker in favor.
I'm Lynn Smouse Lopez, Central Pacific Conference and Justice and Witness Ministries. I am a clergy person with health insurance through the pension boards. I know too many United Church of Christ clergy without insurance, and I think it's not putting it on the shoulders of the pension board alone, it's putting it on our shoulders, but we need to be willing to give up or to help support those without insurance. That's what universal health care would have done. That's what the health care reform is trying to do, and we need to be able to do that in our church, so I support the amendment.
All right, we have a procedural matter at microphone number 5.
Yes, hi, David Stewart, Illinois Conference. I was actually over at 6 to make a friendly grammatical change, but since I believe you interpreted I was proposing a new amendment, I came over to here. If we approve this, we need to have the grammatical change after the reinserted information, semicolon, and to educate.
So the word "and"?
Because as it was changed, you have a phrase that was preserved, the excised verbiage, and then an incomplete sentence to start the reinserted. So it would be at line 120 where it says, within the life of the church, semicolon, and to educate and encourage enrollment.
All right, that is an amendment. Is there a second to that? It's an amendment to the amendment, technical in nature. Is there a second? All those in favor of that technical amendment to the amendment indicate by saying aye. Opposed? All right, so the amendment that you're now discussing includes that grammatical change. Thank you, sir. Other speakers on the amendment? I think I'm to the opposition. Number 4.
Betsy Toback, Connecticut Conference. I was on this committee. We had extensive information shared with us by Michael Downs of the pension boards. And one of the reasons we did eliminate this was because a lot of clergy and conferences have not been educated. So clergy have not gotten into the program because they didn't understand when they graduated seminary or when they started a church that they had a 90-day window. The only ones who are not included in the pension boards are the people who have started a church and didn't make that 90 days. They can still apply, but they have to go through a, I forgot the technical word, but you have to have proof of insurability. So you do have an option to get into the UCC unless you have opted out. Now, if you're a clergy person and your wife has other insurance and you've decided to go with the other insurance, then you've opted out of the program. And so that's why we can't do this universal language and enforce the pension boards to cover everybody, because there are people who have opted out of the program. They did have a choice whether they knew it or not. So we're encouraging education and we're encouraging enrollment for the purpose of getting everybody on board to keep costs down, because the more people are on board, because it's a PPO program, that means everybody gets in the pool and the costs are lower. The fewer people in, the higher the cost. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Another speaker then in favor of the amendment at microphone number 2.
Kevin Peterson, Local Church Ministries Board of Directors. I wish to speak in favor of the amendment. A previous speaker in opposition mentioned that if we were to approve the amendment, it would be telling the pension boards to do something. That is not what the amendment would do. It would instead seek to encourage the pension boards to do something and encourage all settings of the church to do so, which also encourages education on the matter. Furthermore, this board or this body, General Synod, cannot direct the pension boards to do something. So I think this amendment is actually very appropriate in seeking to encourage it. Thank you.
All right, speaking in opposition to microphone number 3.
My name is Marty Balmer. I'm a member of the Executive Council representing the trustees of the pension boards. I'm vice chair of the trustees and I'm chair of the Health Benefits Committee, and I hope you will pray for me. We will continue as trustees and staff of the pension boards to strive to make health insurance available to everyone. We can only do that if we can pay for it. And the only way we can pay for it is by spreading the cost among those who participate in it. So the encouragement for enrollment is very, very important and very, very welcome. We will continue to try the best that we possibly can to meet our hopes of covering everybody in the United Church of Christ, but we can't force it. So I invite you to encourage and to enroll and to educate. And I hope that you don't pass this amendment because while it says encourage the pension boards, what we will hear, I'm afraid, is that we must do this. Now we can, but only if we charge everybody who participates significant increases. And that will be the thing that we will have to continue to consider. We'll work hard on it, and I hope we will serve your best interests. I wish that we would not pass this particular amendment.
Thank you. Going to the speaker at microphone number 1 in favor of the amendment.
Jill Warner, South Dakota Conference, and I need to clarify a misconception. Not all people who turn down, or not all people just miss their 90-day window. When I was first offered health insurance through the pension board, I was a half-time employee and therefore not able to afford to pick up the other half of the premium. And therefore, I had to turn it down and get a cheaper health insurance for myself. By the time I was employed fully, I was deemed uninsurable, and now have been informed that even with the health care laws in place, I am grandfathered out of the pension board's health care plan. So it is not just a matter of educating people about a window. There are other reasons that many of us are unemployed, unable to be insured, through the United Church of Christ pension boards.
All right. I see a procedural motion at microphone number 5.
I'm Luther Holland. I'm on the Executive Council, and I want to call the question on this.
The motion has been, to call the question has been seconded. Again, the effect of this motion will be to call for and debate on the amendment, proceed to a vote on the amendment. We'll try this on a voice vote. All those in favor of calling the question or ending debate, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the motion has carried, and so you'll now be considering the amendment. And let me just explain to you what it is you're voting on. On the written copy of the resolution that was presented at lines 117 through 120, you'll see that the committee deleted approximately 4 lines of text. The amendment is to undelete the deletion so that that language would be in the main motion. The amendment itself has been amended to add the appropriate use of the word "and" for that purpose. So what you will be voting for, and we'll do this with the clickers, is you're going to be voting in favor of the amendment to essentially undelete the language that had been deleted in that resolution. It's apparently not a clicker, it's a keypad. When I'm watching ESPN, I call it a clicker. All right, so if you do know what you're going to be voting on, pick up your keypad, and if you're going to be in favor of the amendment as I've described it, then you're going to be pressing the 1 button. If you are opposed to the amendment, you'll be pushing the 2 button, and if you're abstaining, you'll be pushing the 3 button. So proceed with your voting. You have 15 seconds left. All right, so the amendment has carried, which means that the resolution before you now includes the language which had been deleted by the committee. That means that the motion is before you for a vote as amended. We'll then proceed to, are there speakers? Number one.
This conference. I am glad and pleased to see the work done on this behalf of the clergy. The one thing that I would urge the Executive Council to do in their deliberation of this resolution is to deal with the issue of fertility. The pension boards at this time excludes fertility treatment simply because of the cost of it. And cost is important. We've heard that. But up until the Health Care Act of 2010, we were able to purchase other insurance that may have covered fertility issues. But the Health Care Act of 2010 said you may not purchase another policy if you're already covered. So if people wish to do fertility or need to do fertility, then they need to exclude themselves from the pension board's insurance and buy other insurance. So instead of making an amendment, I simply ask the Executive Council to find a way to deal with the fertility issue through the insurance that the pension boards offers. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The debate again is on the main motion, which is pending. We had one pro speaker. Is there anyone opposed to the motion now as it's amended? All right, I'll proceed then to a second proponent of the motion as amendment at microphone number 2.
Wally Hager, Southern California, Nevada Conference, and I was also on Committee 1 and want to commend the work of the pension boards and the people at the committee who worked very hard and thoughtfully about this process. And I want to urge conferences and local churches, whether this passes or not, to go back to their areas and to educate with accurate information about what's currently being offered and the future of what will be offered. For example, it's my understanding that soon to be there will be discounts for those who are in their 20s and 30s for the health care provided by the pension boards, and I think people need to know what's out there and find creative ways to get more people in the pool who are covered through the pension boards.
Thank you. Is there a speaker who wishes to speak in opposition to the main motion as it's pending? All right, again, I will go to another proponent at microphone number 1.
I am Rebe Jarash from the Massachusetts Conference, and I am a pastor between congregations. I stand in favor of the revised resolution, particularly the lines as amended 105 to 114. And as with my colleague Frank, on a matter not directly addressed by this resolution, but in my mind inextricable from it, I respectfully urge the future task force to additionally consider ongoing disability and life insurance for those of us in transition and between calls. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there now anyone who will speak against it? I see a speaker at the procedural mic number 5. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Abe Mulberry from the Illinois Conference, and I called the question.
All right, the question's been called. Is there a second? All right, let's try this on a voice vote. All those in favor of calling the question, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? All right, the motion now before you is on the resolution as amended, and we're ready to vote. So let me explain. If you are in favor of the resolution as amended, you'll be pressing number 1. If you're opposed to the resolution as amended, you'll be pressing number 2, and if you're abstaining, number 3. The voting is now open. 3 seconds left. All right, the motion as amended has carried. All right, we'll now proceed to the resolution entitled The Right of LGBTQ Parents to Adopt and Raise Children, Resolution of Witness, that was referred to Committee Number 9. And I call on Sue Art, Chair of that committee, to present the motion. Ma'am.
Hello, General Synod. Come on, we can do better than that. Hello, General Synod. Woo! I am Sue Art. I'm the pastor of St. Paul United Church of Christ in Nashville, Illinois. And I'm delighted to bring to you the good news out of St. Paul, Nashville, Illinois, that we have 9 wonderful youth sitting up there in the high seats, along with 4 wonderful chaperones, their first time here at Synod, and they are being raised to be leaders in the United Church of Christ. But we not only celebrate them, we celebrate all the youth that are here today with us. And Synod delegates, I'd like to hear you give them a rousing round of applause. I'm also delighted to be a delegate of the Illinois South Conference. Now join me if you will. You'll know this, I know you do, and join in. No matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. Indeed, and that is our compelling expression of extravagant welcome here in the UCC. And as faithful people, we live that out in our churches and in our homes and in many other areas of our lives. But friends, for nearly 1.5 million children in America's foster care systems, they have no permanent place to call home, no mom or dad to call their own, and likely no place where they know extravagant and unconditional welcome in their lives. And it gets even more heartbreaking than that. Every year, more than 25,000 of those children age out of the system, meaning they turn 18 and are considered emancipated youths at that point, and they have no further access to state foster care. They have no mother, they have no father, and they have no home for the rest of their lives. And I'd just like you to consider the implications of being parentless for your whole life. Statistics show that many of these parentless youth turn towards substance abuse, incarceration, or other forms of despair. So the resolution that I bring to you on behalf of Committee Number 9 seeks to help at least some of these children find the steady homes and loving parents that they deserve by working to remove the roadblocks to lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgendered persons who feel called by spirit to adopt but are blocked or banned from adoption by state procedures or laws. Committee 9 had some rousing and spirited conversation around this resolution, and although there were a few dissenting voices, this resolution comes to you with very strong endorsement by the delegates who participated in Committee 9, whom I would like to thank for their support and their engaged participation. Please pull out now the resolution entitled The Right of LGBT Parents to Adopt and Raise Children, and follow along with me. After much discussion, the committee made a few changes to the text of the resolution, which are presented on the screen. I will briefly outline these changes referring to the line numbers printed in your document. We changed one word on line 3, which is on the title line, from the word parents to the word persons. That also got changed on line 28. Down on lines 66, 72, and 78, we made consistent the wording of sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. Down on line 66 at the end of it, we deleted the clause at the end of that line, which continues through line 67 and 68. I'll provide more information in a moment. And on line 71, we deleted the word solely. Mr. Moderator, on behalf of Committee Number 9, I move that the 28th General Synod of the United Church of Christ adopts the resolution on the rights of LGBT persons to adopt and raise children, and we recommend approval as amended.
Thank you, Reverend Art. The committee has moved for adoption the resolution with the amendments and changes that have been shown to you on the screen. There is no second required since coming from a committee. And will you remark further, Madam Chairman?
Yes, thank you. The committee believes that this is an important and spirit-led resolution, both for children in the state foster care systems who are in need of parenting and for the LGBT persons who seek to adopt children but who meet many obstacles in that process. The changes the committee made retain the original intention of the resolution and we believe strengthen it. I already mentioned the title on line 3 and 28. We changed the word parents to sharpen the definition to make sure that those who were not already parents would be able to adopt. So we changed that to persons. We felt that that was fully inclusionary. On line 66, 72, and 78, the committee believes it is important to consistently use the frame of words sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression throughout this resolution, since these three separate concepts need to be stated consistently. On line 66 at the end, the clause at the end of that line that wrapped into line 67 and 68 attempted to define the concept of family, and I will read it briefly. It starts, and to recognize a family to be any loving, nurturing, ethical relationship between a child and one or more parents. The committee agreed that this definition lacked precision. For example, using this definition then indicated that a couple without children might not be considered a family. Committee 9 decided it was not the substance of this resolution nor the work of this committee to define the concept of family for the UCC, so we deleted the clause. We think this strengthens the resolution as a whole. And on line 71, the deletion of the word solely reflects the committee's understanding that adoption screening for anyone, regardless of sexual orientation, is a rigorous process based on many factors, so the word solely was imprecise and deleted. Committee 9 collaborated well and worked well and quickly to hone this resolution, and we encourage your voting yes on this resolution as amended.
All right. Thank you. The motion is now before the body. Go to mic number 2 for a proponent.
Bruce Pilcher, Illinois Conference. I had a rare privilege last Friday. My daughter, who is gay, her partner birthed twins. And we were fortunate enough in the family that she lives in a state where she could adopt these youngsters and carry their name along with the name of the birthing people. So, let's get behind this 100%. No abstentions, no no's.
It's a bit challenging. I'm looking for a speaker to oppose it now. I'm not seeing anyone at a red mic. All right, mic number 1 then.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Boyer. I'm a delegate from the Penn Central Conference, and I am in strong support of this resolution. In the United States, organizations like the National Adoption Center, the American Psychological Association, and the American Academy of Pediatrics all agree that having homosexual parents or parents who are bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning any of those definitions of sexual orientation, identity, or expression does not negatively affect children. But do you know what does negatively affect children? Not having parents. Thank you.
Thank you again. Anyone in opposition? If not, I'll go to microphone number 2.
Eric Webster from the Vermont Conference. First of all, I would like to say that I am very grateful for the fact that I live in a state that allows me to be a foster parent as a gay man. About a year ago, my partner and I became foster parents, and he's made a dramatic change in his life, spiritually, emotionally, academically. And I have to say that I think that the sole reason for that is because he's now in a loving and caring household. And I strongly encourage you as a body to support this.
Thank you again. Seeing no one at any of the red mics, I go to mic number 1.
Good morning. My name is Tim Gormley, and I am a delegate from the Maine Conference. I am 17 years old, I am gay, and when I grew up, I'd like to be a father. It is no longer a choice for many people in foster care between having gay parents and straight parents. Too often, it has become a choice between having parents and no parents. According to the Kinsey Foundation for Sexology, approximately 11% of this country is gay. As a result of not being allowed to enter as foster care parents, that is 11% of this country that cannot give many of these children loving and open homes. We need to support this, and we need to do what we can in our individual states to allow for LGBT parents to become true parents and welcome many of these children into their homes so that we can have a better society with many, many loving and happy families. Thank you.
Thank you. I see a procedural motion at microphone number 6.
I would like to make a motion, but before I do, I'd like to see if it's already been covered. So I'm wondering if the UCC Health and Human Service agencies are already fully on board with the intention of this resolution.
I would have to call on the coalition. Is Andy Lang in the house or someone from the coalition who made this resolution and can speak to that? I see, is that Andy coming down? Is there someone for the coalition that could speak to that?
If there is someone who can respond fairly quickly to that.
I see Andy coming from the back of the house. Did anyone decide what color snow, what happens to snow? What happens to the white?
All right, the speaker is now at microphone number 2 to respond to that question.
My name is Andy Lang. I'm director of the Coalition for LGBT Concerns. We actually did not consult with Chisholm and the other agencies, but I can tell you that the American Psychological Association, the American Medical Association, and every other professional association of caregivers supports the right of LGBT parents to adopt. Thank you.
All right, back to the speaker at microphone number 6.
So I would like to make my motion as an LGBT adoptive parent. I think it's important that we not only speak to our state legislatures and to the wider culture, but that we speak to our own agencies as well. Therefore, I would move to add language that says, be it further resolved that all UCC Health and Human Service agencies are encouraged to honor the rights of LGBT persons to adopt.
Is that in writing?
I have one copy.
If you, is there a second to the amendment? All right, the matter before the body now is to amend the motion as presented by the speaker. Do you need it read to you again? The amendment as written is, quote, "Be it further resolved that all UCC health and human services agencies are encouraged to honor the rights of LGBT persons to adopt." That is the amendment before you. It's been seconded. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on it? And microphone number 2.
I'm Bob Bauer. I was Executive Director of Evangelical Children's Home in St. Louis for 20 years. I really can't speak for other Chisholm agencies, but because so many of the youth that were in our catchment area were aging out of the system, we had to establish a whole program for independent living, training in independent living. We can't handle all of those. So I'm saying as far as Evangelical Children's Home is concerned, we need parents, and we would not keep them out because of any of those reasons.
Thank you. Is there someone who wishes to speak against the amendment? All right. Is there any other speaker who wishes to speak in favor of the amendment? All right. The amendment that is before you, again, is as I read it. Be it further resolved that all UCC health and human services agencies are encouraged to honor the right of LGBT persons to adopt. Not having heard anyone in opposition to this, I'll proceed to a voice vote. If you are in favor of accepting this amendment, would you indicate by saying aye? Aye. Are you opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the main motion now before you is as was presented with this amendment intact. And we'll proceed to the continuation of speakers in favor of the main motion now as amended, going to microphone number 2.
My name is Mike Castle. I'm a delegate from the Ohio Conference. My partner and I are also the adoptive parents of 2 young men, Gideon, who is 8, and Aiden, who is 3. I rise to speak in favor of this motion and this resolution. I also am chair of Equality Ohio, our state rights for GLBT people in Ohio, the organization that works with that. And in Ohio, we are constantly under threat by those religious voices that want to take rights away for LGBT people. It happened in Arkansas, and in those states that have anti-gay amendments on their books or in their constitutions, this is the second line of attack by the more religious conservatives and fundamentalists as religious perspective. I rise to ask for this body to strongly support this, to be another religious voice, an alternative religious voice that speaks in wholehearted welcome and favor of loving parents willing to raise children in America. Thank you.
Thank you. I see a procedural matter at microphone number 5.
Due to the largely overwhelming support that I'm Spencer from the Rocky Mountain Conference, youth delegate, but due to this overwhelming support that I feel from this affirming delegation that we have here, I think that we should show our support through the vote, and I call the question.
All right, the question is called. Is there a second? All right. All those in favor of calling the question indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right. With 7 minutes left, we now come to the main motion. The matter before you is the resolution as it has been amended. I'm going to call for a voice vote on that. If you're in favor of the motion as it's been amended, you'll indicate by saying aye, otherwise nay or abstain. So moving to the vote, all those in favor of the motion as amended, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. I think the unanimity one of the speaker looked for has been achieved. Are there... And I won't call for abstentions under that circumstance. We are going to move quickly on to one last item. If you received the Still Speaking magazine, You may have read about the work of the Brooks brothers. They're here to talk about their experience and how they witnessed how your gifts to our church's wider mission are changing lives. Max and Richard.
Hey. I have a quick favor to ask of each of you before we get started. It's very small. It won't take long. I just need each and every one of you to smile. I'd just like to take a quick photo of what it's like to be up here at the podium at Synod. So, if you don't mind. You all look beautiful.
Well, hello, General Synod. I'm Maxwell Brooke.
And I'm Richard Brooke.
And if you couldn't tell already by our similar features and extremely good-looking looks, we're twins.
No, we're not kidding. We're really twins. Our parents are here. You can ask them. We're from Mount Zion United Church of Christ in China Grove, North Carolina. And no, we're not offended if you've never heard of China Grove, North Carolina.
A year ago, we graduated from college. And because of this fantastic and booming economy, we knew that we would have employers just salivating to hire us. To hire us and our graduating friends. So we waited around, but they never came. Oops.
In spite of all that, we wanted to do something with our time and with the United Church of Christ. So we joined the UCC Volunteer Ministries and set out on a year-long journey to document and highlight volunteer organizations across America. We would do this through film, photos, and blog posts. We drove over 17,000 miles across this nation and have one extremely smelly car to show for it. We called this project Twin Maps and created a website, twinmaps.com, to chronicle our journey. We created video features for the places that we visited and a longer feature that summarizes what we have seen over the past year.
And the story of our church's wider mission was a fuel in our gas tank, literally and figuratively. No matter where we went, we had this welcoming feeling from all the organizations, churches, and people we met. We weren't sure why people were so open, or why they considered us friends so easily. Maybe it was because we were trying to help their organization by promoting their mission, but we think differently.
All of these places across the United States are associated with the United Church of Christ in some form, and being accepting and welcoming is what the UCC is all about. In our final feature, we speak a lot about changing the world, one of the core purposes of our church's wider mission. Everyone we met wanted to do it. They had an inextinguishable fire inside of them that fueled each of their passions, whether it be advancing the mental illness, giving a home to those who need shelter, or simply being a friend.
The thing about changing the world, though, is that one person can't do it alone. It can't happen. It won't. The hurdles are too great and the struggles are too tedious to overcome with just one person carrying the burden.
But a group of people, a network of support to will the world forward, can accomplish great things. They can change how their neighbors view their lives, how their states treat the mistreated, and how their nation comforts the downtrodden. Support can be anything. It can be monetary, it can be physical labor, it can also be presence. The important thing is that you participate in any way that you can.
We found that changing the world doesn't mean going across the globe to help. You can help right in your own community and make a huge difference. If we want to change the world, we must first be willing to help our neighbors.
Support the youth and young adults. We've been staying with the youth at General Synod during our time here, and we cannot overstate just how talented and incredible that each of them are. They are passionate about their projects, knowledgeable about the world, and willing to offer assistance when no one else will. If the UCC wants to see rapid and immediate growth and change, then the youth and young adults will be the ones to do it.
Support your church. Prior to our travels, we had no idea just how much churches impact their community. They are interested in advancing the lives of the needy and creating a safe haven to all those who enter their doors. They are priceless centers of growth, and we cannot afford to lose them.
Our church's wider mission helps support all these things. Your gifts to OCWM help fund the homeless shelter that needs a space, provides nurture to a promising organization, or even agrees to fund 2 kids with cameras that want to travel the United States to see how the world turns.
After all the traveling we've done and all we've seen, we just want to say simply, thank you. Thank you for supporting your neighbors when society has given up on them. Thank you for finding ways to promote justice and goodwill when the rest of the world turns a blind eye. Thank you for putting your trust and faith into people who just want a chance to prove themselves.
If you want to see more of how the UCC has promoted growth and change, please visit our website at twinmaps.com. After July 16th, we will be posting our final feature, which we have screened at Synod twice already. And be sure to visit ucc.org/OCWM to see how you can help as well.
When we leave Tampa, we will be traveling back to North Carolina. Our journey will be over. We will return to the real world and pass on the lessons we were taught this year by the amazing people in the UCC.
If there will ever be a church that will change the world, the UCC will be the ones to make that first imprint.
Thank you, UCC. Thank you for your gifts to OCWM. Thank you for your heart for mission. And thank you for an amazing year we will never forget. And thank you again.
All right. Thank you, Brooke, please. Before we recess, I'd ask Edith Guffey to come forward with any announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I didn't want to miss my one last chance to make announcements. There is a mistake in the program book. It shows tonight's worship is in the East Hall. Contrary to popular belief, we will not be moving the stage and chairs to the East Hall. We will close with worship tonight here in the West Hall. For years, we have been asked to provide the ability for delegates and visitors to purchase DVDs of presentations and worship services while at Synod. We have a company that has been here to do just that. I hope you will stop by and take some of the Synod experience home with you and share these experiences with members of your congregation. If you are missing something, like lost something, check Lost and Found in room 3 of the General Synod office. Conference ministers, please remember to bring the bags to collect the keypads at the close of the afternoon plenary. The collected keypads in the bags are to be turned into the General Synod office, room 3. Participants in worship tonight, please meet down at the front of the stage at the close of this plenary. And as you can tell, we are moving quickly through the business today. If you have a role in plenary sometime this afternoon, Please be in the hall and alert and ready to move quickly as the business progresses. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Ms. Guthrie. All right. I now declare that the 6th plenary of the 28th General Synod is complete. The next plenary will begin this afternoon at 2:30, and we are now in recess.
Good job.
Hey, thanks, Bob.